at their best heroes, they do know how to play the Weaver, and they do know how to play the Nyx Assassin, which they showed particularly well. What do they not know how to play is heroes that they didn't pick, so we do not care. Now, a little bit of help for the QPAD Red Pandas. Weapons. You should, like, you're the coach. You should have told them this before, right? It's like, look at that. 1-4 versus Puck.
Would have been quite good.
Now 3-6 versus Nature's Prophet. But that Chaos Knight, 1-3. Maybe we can see some Chaos Knight Wisp.
Well, they really want the Wisp. That's the thing. Problem is, everybody knows how good Mini is on Wisp. I believe we actually have the stats on our page as well, whereas he's about 80% win on Wisp or something, so teams just don't want to give that away.
Okay, so that's it about now, and we're going with James and Andy, which will take us into the game.
Yeah, and we're already in. We got our first ban. EG are going to take away that Shadow Demon again, but I also think EG, we can basically say a team that have turned up and just played strong from the get-go here. They're looking really good for the group. Even though Mouse Sports, I wouldn't say they had a hiccup. I feel they didn't find their feet. EG have found their feet, and QPAD Red Pandas, you know, looking similar to Empire, really. But I do believe that they had a plan. They did have a decent plan, but the execution and some of the decision-making early game really set QPAD Red Pandas behind, and also their draft. I don't think the Magnus first pick was a good pickup. I think the Nyx Assassin would have been great, and even if you gave Magnus to EG, probably would have, you know, the Nyx Assassin in there with the stuns that they could have hit, probably would have played out a lot better. So the draft from Sing, not as good as the draft from EG. Who drafts from EG? Sorry, it's...
Fear right now. I mean, everyone kind of talks about it between EG. Yeah. They switch it up, but for the most part, it's Fear.
But Fear getting a better draft, and EG looking spectacular in Game 1. Let's see if they can move it into Game 2 and pick up a 2-0. Certainly the team that is the favourite. They're actually going to ban out the Magnus here, as well as the Shadow Demon. So I believe that EG are going to have first pick. So it looks like it should be a Nyx Assassin ban from QPAD Red Pandas. I don't feel like it's going to feel too comfortable going up against a Nyx again after last game. Even though it wasn't a big impact, they didn't get all the kind of rotation kills, Andy, on the map, but it put the fear into QPAD Red Pandas. So it's actually going to be a lone druid, so it could be a Nyx Assassin first pick.
Interesting choice. What they could be doing is, if they pick the Nyx here, they could be going right for the Lifestealer. They could go for the Lifestealer Dark Seer combo, which is really, really common. They could be going for just a Lifestealer plus anything, because, of course, that's a very, very common hero in the current stage of the game. So,
this
actually, EG,
look at this.
They first picked the Lifestealer.
Wisp at +1.
Yeah.
This is what that Lifestealer has now created. It's created a Wisp pick for QPAD Red Pandas, and they get their hero of choice to play with it. Is it going to be a CK? They probably would have liked a Lifestealer, and it's actually just going to be a Clockwork. So they're not going to show their cards in terms of the carry. This draft already looks better for QPAD Red Pandas, but EG probably feel very comfortable that they can win a lineup with how this draft pans out, even up against a Wisp. So probably looking for some big team fight compositions, probably looking to make sure they get nice fights around towers. Andy, what are your impressions on where they should go next?
I really like the choice of not just picking up the carries straight away, because if you look at the bans and picks right now, of course, EG, they're going to get 2 here, but the QPAD Red Pandas can still decide to pick it after. And then we saw yesterday, there was one match where somebody banned out Sven, they banned out the Tiny, and they banned out the Lifestealer as well in like the second ban phase. So for the QPAD Red Pandas, they have one more chance left to get their choice of whatever carry they want. It might be something like a Tiny. I know Singh has been practicing that hero actually on and off. I actually got a chance to see him do it before they ended up leaving the studio. But EG right now, I feel as though they're kind of caught off guard by this. They might still go with, actually it's going to be a Rubik again, so Beatis is going to get a chance to play that. And it's another hero who, even though he is kind of defensive, you can still potentially put an aggressive tri-lane against QPAD in this situation, because Wisp, not known as being the best laner.
Yeah, I was going to go there next as well. If Lifestealer is a great offensive tri-lane hero, and the Rubik as well, B-Diz and Evil Geniuses always seem to want to get that Rubik in their lineup. It does well for them, and they're very good at playing it. You don't often see him out of position. He's always good on rotations. He's always well-timed on that Rubik. So it's still, even though if you put the Rubik in the aggressive tri-lane, it still matters a lot. It's not something that will bring a lot of damage, but just the timing and the positioning that EG will have with that hero is great. And they've opted again for the Storm Spirit. So quite an interesting time to pick a Storm Spirit. Obviously, it's nice in a way because you're able to get involved in the fights very quickly, but they've also left the Nyx Assassin up for QPAD Red Pandas. So a very even draft across the board. And personally, QPAD Red Pandas, for me, I thought got the better exchange of this one.
As it stands right now, I'm inclined to agree, just because of the Nyx. Like, the Nyx in the first three, that kind of wraps everything together for me. It's fantastic against Storm. It's awesome against Rubik. If he gets the start that he's looking for, he gets a relatively quick 6. Even if he's not mid, you can still just be an absolute terror to supports, especially like Rubik, because he is just so unbelievably squishy. So, all in all, I do kind of agree, but EG, they get the Lifestealer Storm Spirit Bomb, something that's very, very dangerous.
Sure.
And you mentioned that the Storm Spirit, kind of a weird pick, but if you think about it, you have a Wisp and a Clockwork. Those two heroes, not that great against initiating a fight on a Storm. They're more counter-initiation than anything else. So EG is still going to have the opportunity to make the first move.
Yeah, and that Nyx Assassin pickup, I do like it as well with the Wisp, just because the Nyx Assassin could be able to scout, and then you've got the Wisp TP with the hero of choice. But it's going to be, of course, now the ban phase. QPAD Red Pandas are going to remove Leshrac and Skywrath Mage, and Brewmaster, focused on Select here, is going to be removed, and also that Chaos Knight, focused on the combo with Wisp. They're not looking to go up against a Wisp CK. So good bans from both teams, a little bit stronger bans coming out from Evil Geniuses, knowing what they QPAD are really looking for in this lineup. Evil Geniuses, it's not so well known in like what support and what offlaner they want right now. So QPAD have focused on a support they don't want to play against. You know, I think they're focusing on what do we not want in that tri-lane with the Rubik and the Lifestealer. So
5 seconds.
I'm liking it, actually, coming out of the QPAD Red Pandas. Skywrath would devastate heroes like Wisp and Nyx, especially. That Ancient Seal, 6-second silence. That is not something that a Nyx Assassin wants to play against. The Flare, of course, when you partner that with things like even Open Wounds. They have 3 setup heroes already who could abuse the Flare. Of course, that's Skywrath's ultimate. So the last ban out is actually going to be a Weaver. So QPAD, they have the opportunity to pick up the Tiny if they want. They can go for a Sven. There are a lot of choices, actually. Actually, Gyrocopter is available, so if they wanted to, they could still go for a Gyro as well.
Yeah.
And the last ban looks to be a Darkseer.
yeah, I was going to say that EG might want that Darkseer for the offlane, so that's a good ban as well. Or at least QPAD thinks so.
Yeah.
We'll see if EG are really bothered with that as they go into their next round of picks, and they are, of course, going to be up first. So still looking for a good support, still looking for an offlaner that has a high impact, and the support is actually just going to be Keeper of the Light. So not too sure about that as a pickup, but on
It's interesting.
It's can still put out a decent amount of damage. But what do you make of it?
It's interesting because the same reasoning behind picking Storm against Mag is the same reason why you wouldn't pick Keeper of the Light against a Wisp and a Clockwork, because they can just jump you. They can just get into the fight, and they can just kill you straight away. So again, this is going to be really a battle of vision. Who has the better map control all the time? Who's going to be able to see you coming? And who's going to be able to make the first move? Because Keeper of the Light functions best in situations where, like many heroes, he's in the back line. He's not really the one taking any damage whatsoever. You can split push. You can Chakra the Lifestealer and the Storm especially. That's going to be great for them. But this, to me, appears to be an aggressive, or excuse me, a defensive lane coming out from EG.
Yeah, QPAD Red Pandas now could be looking for their mid hero. Queen of Pain and also Puck are both available. I think Puck's a pretty good option up against the Storm Spirit and the Lifestealer, but it's up to them what they're going to go for mid, and I'm still expecting that mid hero to come out now. So what do you reckon of Queen of Pain?
A Queen of Pain could be a very nice choice, especially if you're assuming Demon's going to be going mid 2 games in a row on that Storm Spirit. We talked about how his lane presence is kind of meh. It's not so good, especially against other ranged heroes. But the QPAD Red Pandas pull out a Dragon Knight, a hero that I personally haven't seen them play that often, but I do like the pick, just because
Why?
he's the one hero against Lifestealer who is still really, really hard to take down, because Feast is physically based, and he can rush a BKB and still become somewhat of a threat in these team fights. The follow-up damage from the QPAD Red Pandas with the Nyx, you're going to have Breathe Fire, Flare, and you're going to even have Spirits. So their magic damage output is still quite good.
Well, QPAD Red Pandas have actually played the Dragon Knight mid
Yeah.
quite a few times with Sing playing it mid. Not sure how they're going to lane it, but it is now, we focus our attention back to EG, as it is going to be their last pick, and it's going to be the off-lane hero. No Weaver, no Darkseer, no Clockwork, as QPAD Red Pandas have picked it up. They don't seem to have too many great options, but it could be Nature's Prophet.
A Prophet would actually be a really nice choice, but it's going to be tied. Going to be the Tidehunter, a hero who actually has fallen off quite a
Yeah,
bit.
we haven't seen him for a while. That's a interesting pickup. What do you make of it?
This is really cool for me because Tidehunter, way back when people started picking him all the time, it was to stop these like slow sieges. You walk up to the tower, you got tanky heroes like DK, you got the Clockwork. We will get a chance to see the Queen of Pain after all. So Sing is going to get his high impact hero, but back to the Tidehunter for just a second. He's great at just cracking towers. Like, you look at QPAD's team and you're like, that's a hard team to push into. You know, now you have something to back up the Storm Spirit to walk into the fight. The Lifestealer goes inside, you get the Storm Bomb, and then you have a Ravage to just clear things out. It's a very dangerous 5 versus 5 team coming out of EG.
Yeah, that Tidehunter pickup actually makes just a lot of sense, especially against a Wisp as well. One of the best ways to disrupt a Wisp TP is just throwing that Ravage down on those 2 heroes, because every time it's worth it as long as you've got at least 1 to 2 more teammates that are there to fight, because chances are you're going to kill the Wisp or you're going to save your own team. So it's a really good pickup from EG. Very smart last pick for them with the Tidehunter, and as we saw, Sing is going to be picking up that Queen of Pain, so mid should go in favor of the Queen of Pain over Demon if he's going to play the Storm Spirit there. It'd be interesting to see who's going to play the Dragon Knight, and it looks like it was actually a Wagamama to pick it up just in the end moment. So Select's going to be playing that Clockwork on the off lane, and then Wagamama back on carry. So this is the original positions. A pause going to happen. Demon's going to say go, go. But let's go through the teams. We'll start with QPAD Red Pandas from left to right. Queen of Pain going to be played by Sing Sing. Wisp, of course, that's going to be Mini. 80% win ratio. Let's see if he's going to be able to extend that, or if it's unfortunately going to drop into the 70s. On the Clockwork is going to be Select, picking up a Stout Shield. As he is going to be... it looks like he was heading safe lane for just a moment. And Wagamama going to be on the Dragon Knight. And playing the Nyx Assassin, the Vendetta Master himself is going to be Jerax.
I like that, the Vendetta Master. We'll have to remember that one. On the side of EG, we're going to have Fear playing on Rubik. Jayo is going to be playing on that Lifestealer. Demon going to be playing Storm for the 2nd game in a row. Bambo going to have his Squiddles here, dragging it along the lane as Tidehunter. And then finally, Beata's playing on the Keeper of the Light.
So both teams currently just looking to get the wards where they want them. There's a high ground ward here, and the whole team of QPAD Red Pandas are like, we don't want to leave this ward alone. Look how cute it is. We're just going to hang around a little minute and see if anybody rotates back into middle. But they could have a 5-man rotation. When it comes down to a level 1 fight and Sing Sing is out of position, surely this goes on favor of EG, but they are walking up high ground here, and it's Jo to walk in first, and they just ignore him and go straight on to Demon.
And Demon probably actually might be able to get away from this nice telekinesis coming out of Fear. A big Illuminate just devastates the lines of QPAD. They're going to try to retreat here. Jo can't actually get the auto attack off, but the First Blood still goes to Fear. Bambo trying to chase down the Clockwork. Another Illuminate goes off from Beat. Still Jerax limping away back towards his base. That was absolutely devastating right there from QPAD. They do end up actually getting 1 kill as Demon dies. Demon. Yeah, Demon dies, but the First Blood still going basically in favor of EG right there. That's a hard one for me, because a 4 versus 5, you kind of have to say that winning, at least getting 1 kill for 1 kill is okay, but QPAD didn't get the First Blood.
Yeah, that was the case. So good positioning from QPAD, but unfortunately they didn't have Sing Sing there. Select on top lane, going to put down pressure down onto Bambo. On bottom lane, Sing's going to be forced out of lane by Jo, as they've sent the Lifestealer just onto the safe lane. And they are going to have their 2 supports stacking and backing him up in just a moment. And Sing Sing actually TP's top. So interesting rotations coming out from both sides. We've got Mini playing the Wisp with Wagga on his DK middle up against Demon that did get taken down in the early engagement. What do you make of the lane switches? Because currently, Sing's just like, he's gone top, and I think that's where he originally wanted to be.
He wanted to be against Bambo.
He just wanted to dodge the tri-lane, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, being against the Tide, this is obviously the favored matchup for Sing Sing. It's going to force Select to at least start pulling, or if he wants to, he can go all the way across the map, I guess. But Jerax is actually the one who's gotten the raw end of this deal. He's actually had to run all the way back to base before the creeps even spawn. So this is the first time he's even made his presence be felt on the map at all. And Bambo going to be a little bit sad about the fact that Jerax is now there. He's sitting up here at level 2. Not going to get the most experience in the world, but I think EG are actually looking for a pretty quick tier 1, as the glyph is already used here by QPAD.
Yeah, Beaters is going to send out a Illuminate to take down those creeps pretty fast. And you can see a rotation already. Mini's coming down here. with his spirits, just going to do some damage and pick up some well-needed experience. Probably not going to be able to be dived, and that tower actually took very minimal damage, but QPAD did use a Glyph of Fortification, so that's gone early. Select now in position. He's going to be getting close to level 3, and he should be okay, so not too bad for QPAD Red Pandas, but EG, once again, you feel they were kind of in control of the map after the first fight. They knew where they were going, they knew what they were doing, and it was QPAD that had to change positions, and you saw Sing there changing to top. But Jarak supporting Sing top, this is pretty interesting, and it might really hurt Bambo.
Now, Bambo's going to get some experience. This is the one thing that an offlane Tidehunter can do in this situation. He's scared, but he's not so scared that he's out of experience range. This is basically maximizing efficiency as best you can. Jerax, of course, only being level 1, it means he can't really follow up that much.
2.
Oh, he's actually level 2 now, so he's got the carapace. But since he doesn't have mana burn, Bambo can't really die here unless he makes a very, very big blunder.
Yeah, one thing we should mention, which is slightly odd at the moment, actually we go to middle, it's Wagger putting down some pressure onto Demon, and they are going to get a kill. Mini's going to get the last hit. I was just going to say, one thing that was quite weird was Demon is currently 14-1 up against Wagger, who was 7-3, but I was going to say, well, that's going to change in just a moment as double damage was picked up by Wagger, but they took the opportunity, they had a high ground ward, and they went for a kill. Demon's going to TP back. So, good kill. And that will be the second kill for QPAD Red Pandas after giving off first blood, and definitely going to slow Demon down, though he does have his bottle.
And this is already more accomplished for QPAD Red Pandas, honestly, in the first 3.5 minutes of this game.
Even if they all disconnected, they would still say, at least we did better than last game.
Pretty much. That's kind of what I was getting at here. So Wagga still going to continue farming away, and I do love this DK pick especially, just because of how tanky that hero can be. You get the BKB up, you get some treads, drums, maybe an armlet if you're lucky, and then you just do whatever damage you need to do in the fight.
Bambo.
Oh, Bambo, yeah. There's no mana on Sing for Shadow Strike. Maybe the wrong use of spell right there. I think a Shadow Strike might have actually secured a kill as opposed to just a scream. Maybe he was assuming that Jerax would have another stun, but it's not going to be the case, and Bambo's going to be able to get away.
Yeah, and Select with his bottle will pick up an invisibility rune on his clockwork. We'll see if he's actually going to take that to middle. That could be very dangerous for Demon as he's still level 5, hasn't hit level 6 yet. And EG, just doing what they do, getting the most out of any situation as a very experienced team, and you can see Fear and BDiz just pulling the jungle. Select is going to walk past an Observer ward. He's going to find Fear and BDiz. He's currently not on the lane and hasn't put any attention towards middle, and I don't think he's going to make anything happen here. He's going to have to be pretty careful once he comes out of invisibility, and Mini is actually moving around, so it looks like they want to go, and they are actually going to go on to BDiz. In comes Mini, and there comes the cogs, and BDiz is going to drop, and they do use the invisibility well, and Select will pick up a kill.
Very nice movement coming out.
Mini gets the kill.
Yeah, Mini got the kill, but it's still brilliant movement. Just knowing how to abuse the Invis rune, waiting for the creep wave to actually die. They denied the whole thing. Of course, why wouldn't they? They were trying to take away experience from the push, of course. So, all in all, QPAD Red Pandas, they didn't really perform in game 1. No one's going to say anything otherwise, but this game, they're finding the kills that they need to find. Bambo, he's still getting some experience, which you always have to keep in mind. He's still 4.5. So it's not like he's being completely stopped. And once he gets that Ravage, once Demon hits level 6, that's when the teamfight potential of EG really starts to become scary. So the QPAD Red Pandas, they've gotten a lot done. They have to keep getting things done.
Yeah. And it's surprising to see a Clockwork get a kill on the offlane, but it's all to the fact that Mini is mid and able to easily rotate with Tether. Yeah. So something I was just like, what is Select doing? And then he was able to find the kill. And Jerax has hit level 4, and as we mentioned, Bambo doing great. He's level 5 and hasn't died yet. He's actually going to get harassed now. Let's see if what they can do. Sing Sing does have a Shadow Strike. Probably not going to be able to chase this, but will force him off before the creep wave comes. And if you look at Mini, he's just like, I'm want to harass, and he's actually going to find Bambo. And Mini picks up a kill behind the tier 1 tower, and they're going to join his teammates and be able to probably do a significant amount of damage. And actually, no, Mini decides he's going to go back as we go mid. And sorry if I missed that on verbally, but it was Jo coming in with Demon, and they pick up a nice kill on Wagamama while Mini was missing. So probably actually not that bad at all for EG, but I think maybe even better for EG getting a kill on the DK as an off-lane Tide that will inevitably get farmed.
Yeah, Bambo doesn't really need the farm as much as he needs 6, and he's already done his job, basically. So losing Wagga, definitely the worst trade here from the QPAD Red Pandas. And the real problem... Oh, they're going to relocate, actually. They're going straight on top. They want to find Bambo again. So much for getting 6 sometime soon. 4 heroes in the top lane, and a wild Mini appears. That seems to be the story of the game so far, is how well Mini's been playing this haste rune. Yeah, he wants to try to find somebody, but he's going to find 2 heroes. I don't think he's going to be able to do much by himself.
And yeah, that was a big advantage that Mini did have. And also, having that extra player mid on the Wisp, he's able to control the runes. You can see now he has the haste. Previous to that, Select got the invisibility. So where do EG stand in this current situation? Because QPAD are the ones making the moves, and that's obviously why we're talking about them right now. But what are EG looking to do here, Andy?
Well, they've rotated Demon to the bottom lane just to keep him a little bit safer. He's managed to get level 7, so he's got 3 points into the Vortex. He's got the 2 points into Overload. He needs time, basically. Luckily for EG, Jo is farming great. He's got 49 CS. He's the highest on the board by a pretty wide margin, considering it's only 8 minutes in. He's going straight for the armlet. So for QPAD, they've had a fantastic start. But again, the story is you can't let up the pressure. You can't let these heroes get to the late game, because the longer the game goes, the more options you're giving EG in terms of initiation, especially with the Storm and the Lifestealers. So when the time comes for the armlet to be finished on Jo, that's when the Storm Bomb becomes incredibly potent. And say you relocate in, like Manny just did, right? Well, Storm can easily match that kind of mobility if you're anywhere near EG's towers.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Also to mention, Regen Rune got stolen by Jo. Didn't need it, but wanted to take it away, and that is one of the keys to Dota. It's not what you get, it's what you deny your opponents, and Jo will deny a regen mid, which won't go on Mini, who had that bolo. And they're actually going to go for Wagger. Fear's going to back him up. There's the telekinesis. Mini trying to come in and get some stuns, and it looks like Wagger is going to ulti, possibly getting away in this situation, and a very late TP. It's going to be Select. He's not level 6, and there's going to be no good counter initiation. But importantly, Wagger does survive, and EG committed quite a lot to that, because at the same time, Bambo came mid. He had a level 1 gush, but he's currently not on his off lane getting level 6.
That was really strange. I saw relocate used by Mini, but he didn't go anywhere. Like, he relocated, and he was tethered to Wagga, and nothing happened. And then Wagga still ended up living, so I guess the relocate ended up getting canceled out. So very, very nicely done overall, making him waste the relocate. That's actually a pretty big deal. Just because of the fact that you're not going to be able to get ganked for a little while longer, and they also stop Wagga from farming. In the meantime, double smoke, 1 from each team.
Yeah, actually it was EG that counter-smoked because they saw QPAD pop a smoke in the river. So EG are expecting QPAD to rotate to top lane to do something to Bambo. They've actually just gone through the jungle, past the secret shop where they expected them to be. Now they see him mid. They're actually looking to put down the moves, and it will probably be on Mini. And they need to hit the telekinesis. There's no one to tether to. Mini, oh, he's actually going to tether to creeps, but in comes Demon on the Storm Spirit, picks up a nice kill. Fear going very low, Demon going very low, but Singh comes in and picks up 2 kills of his own. There comes the Ravage that they wanted, and it's 4 down for QPAD. Brilliant initiation from EG, and just absolutely perfect timing to come in with that Ravage there.
That escalated quickly, I think, is the way that we can refer to that fight, because it starts off with just a simple open wounds. You see Mini tether to the creep, and then all of a sudden, everyone from both teams is in the middle lane, and it's just an absolute slaughter. So, all in all, obviously, EG come out pretty far ahead. Very opportune timing right there that Bambo actually managed to be level 6 when he was, because he wouldn't have gotten a kill on Singh for sure, because Singh was pretty much still at full health. And of course, they also had Jerax actually get picked off by that as well. So we're going to get back into it here. We'll see it once more. And we see Jo, he goes in, he gets Mini. He's like, okay, I really want to go for this kill. He pops the Rage. There's a steal by Rubik as well. Mini just drops immediately. Here comes Demon. Singh lines up basically an ultimate that hits the entirety of EG, but it simply doesn't matter. Bambo lives through the ultimate long enough to get the Ravage off. And that fight, all in all, was pretty darn short, but a lot of damage done to both sides.
Yeah, and Select was actually TPing in, it looked like, and cancelled it. As he felt that he couldn't do anything in that situation. So a little bit late reaction. Maybe it could have been good to have him there. He was level 6. But back to the game at hand, you can see now that the XP and gold difference going in favor of EG. Some pressure down on the bot tower from QPAD just moments ago. They're actually going to get Demon.
He's going to get Dragon-tailed as well. This could be a free kill. Demon stunned for so long. The Tether's going to be there as well. He just simply can't move. 5 members of QPAD all here and EG's Woods, and they find Demon once again. As well as he played in game number 1, he is definitely struggling in game 2.
I got a feel for I gotta say that Jo, his farm and his presence has been really good on that lifestealer in terms of on the map, and that armlet is going to be just so huge. If you look at Wagger's farm in comparison, he's got 40 last hits, he's died twice with 0 kills, he's been in 6 assists, but at the same time, not having an armlet versus a lifestealer with an armlet, and if they want to defend mid, his ultimate's going to be down.
Yeah.
So this tier 1 tower, it's going to be very hard to defend now for QPAD Red Pandas.
And Select is actually TPing to the tier 2, but he doesn't really have that much mana, so he's going to need another set of arcanes if he wants to go, but they're going to go in with the relocate. It looks like it's going to be Demon that try to go in, but Mini's by himself. Mini with a huge mistake right there, tries to tether out, but it's not going to matter. 3-man Impale Fear actually steals the spell himself, so a free tower given to EG. Mini, he's been playing fantastic this entire game so far. The first little crack that he showed so far, and it's a pretty big one.
I actually think it was probably good that he messed up in many ways, because Wagger surely would have gone down in that situation as well. And Singh didn't seem to be... I'm not sure if he was in position, but either way, great pickup by EG. Bit of a mistake there from QPAD, and they get the tier 1 tower.
They want to go on Singh. He's teleporting out of sight. Is Demon going to be able to find him? It's a level 3 Vortex. He actually goes past. Not enough damage, but Singh cannot live through that. Armlet on the Slice Stealer. You mentioned it, James. Really good this fast.
Yeah, it's just such a good choice of item to get, and to get it this early. You don't really have anybody that can tank you. Not even the DK at this stage. Just doesn't feel that great in position. And EG are going to back up this tier 1 tower push. They've got 10 seconds until Singh is available again. Ultimate is back up for the Dragon Knight. He's only level 8 though, because he had to share his lane with Mini. Ultimate now popped, and Wagger's going towards those drums. Are they going to try and initiate here? Jerex is actually smoked up with a Vendetta, and it looks like QPAD want to go. They've got to be very careful, because Bambo has a Ravage.
Well, Jo.'s actually quite low at the moment. They're going to catch him with a stun. Doesn't waste it. Very nicely done. Jo, though, he gets the armlet toggle off. We can see Demon. He's going straight onto Mini. The Ravage is there. Hits 3. QPAD in a lot of trouble. Singh throws out the ultimate, but not really doing that much damage. Demon going to get stunned out here. Looks like the first to drop will actually be on the side of the QPAD Red Pandas. It's a 2-for-1 exchange. Actually, 2-for-2 now, as we see Storm buy back. Unfortunately, he can't TP to the tower, and it's a double kill for Jo. So the QPAD Red Pandas, they are trying to be on retreat right now, but it doesn't matter. Mini, he's going to go down. Jo actually gets the kill with an Infest below the tree line. So Jo getting even more money from this exchange.
Yeah, not sure what Jerex was trying to achieve in that situation. You can see that there were sentry wards down, but if he just got his Vendetta and then the damage onto Jo, he would have been able to pick up the kill. Jo had to armlet toggle to stay alive, but just a Vendetta and an Impel would have been able to change that whole fight. With no Jo, just the Storm Spirit dropping the majority of damage outside of the Tidehunter ultimate, QPAD could have taken that fight. So disappointing from Jerex, and we'll have to see where QPAD go from here. But EG are slowly but surely gaining more presence, gaining more map control, and just looking more dangerous as a team. And they have to be really worried, QPAD Red Pandas here.
Just looking at that last fight, the biggest difference in the world, the flare from the Clockwork not being there. If they flared Jo, he would have died. Like, there was no way he could have lived through that damage. Just one little thing, one tiny follow-up missing, and then the entire fight could have gone the opposite direction and maybe gone in favor of QPAD Red Pandas. So it's an uphill battle for them in the next couple of minutes. This is pretty much the last chance unless they want to get knocked down into the lower bracket, which, let's be honest, nobody wants to be in, especially not this early. So QPAD Red Pandas, they got their work cut out for them. See if they can make a comeback in this game. But they do have some nice things going for them. Demon being forced into a BKB rush. That is not a happy Storm. A Storm who has to go BKB first item, you never want to have to do that.
Yeah, well, the amount of damage and stuns that they do have on their team, it's a really wise choice from Demon. And we can do some item checks while both teams are just looking to farm. So starting with Demon, as you mentioned, got his Ogre Club going for his BKB. We do have Arcane Boots up already on Fear, and he's also got the Urn as well. BDiz not going towards anywhere soon towards his mech, and you'd expect it maybe to be on him, but you could also put it on the Tidehunter, which we'll take a look at. Bambo, he's got 1,400 gold. Is he just going to rush that blink? Is he going to go for a mech and arcane boots? I guess we'll have to wait to see. But either way, EG looking pretty good, and on bottom lane, Select gonna get the worst of the Lifestealer bomb, as you mentioned earlier, is a huge factor, and this tier 1 tower surely will be going down. QPAD looking to try and get an exchange, putting some pressure onto the tier 1 tower top.
This push, though, going to be significantly slower, and especially when Beatas is going to be teleporting up here. Jo actually gets the last hit on the tier 1 in the bottom lane, so the rich get richer. It's 13-10 right now in game number 2. Only 17 minutes in, but Desolator and Armlet finished on Jo. You want to talk about damage output?
Wow.
That's going to hurt.
Yeah, he's had just a superb performance this game. He's just going to be so hard to deal with. It doesn't, as we mentioned, it doesn't matter who he hits. Everyone's a target. Everyone's killable. There's no one really on the team of QPAD that you want to shut down necessarily in a big way first, apart from Sing if he's out of position. Sing going for his Orchid, and that will help him versus the Storm, but Storm getting very close towards his BKB, sat on 1,900, almost 2,000 gold after he picks up some of these neutrals. So that Orchid needs to come up before the BKB, and they need to make something happen big with it. QPAD are going to smoke, going to go through the jungle. The majority of the team of EG are actually top, their supports included. So they have to be pretty wary of what could happen on this tier 1 tower mid. And they do have all TPs. So apart from Bambo, Bambo doesn't have a TP and he's gone for the Blink Dagger.
And not having a TP could be a pretty big deal. They're in a pretty good position right now, the QPAD Red Pandas, but it's pretty hard to tell that Bambo doesn't have a TP because he's not visible right now. So it's just like that. Do we want to try to go? Do we want to wait it out a little bit longer? It's the waiting game for the QPAD Red Pandas doesn't seem to be the ideal way to pursue this, because at the end of the day, you have a Dragon Knight who's got drums at 18 minutes against a Lifestealer who's got an Armlet and a Desolator. The gold advantage is pretty massively in favor of EG at the moment, and the longer it goes on, the more dangerous that Storm Lifestealer bomb is going to become. The damage is going to keep going up, and they're going to be able to isolate and kill any hero pretty much hands down. The Lifestealer can solo anyone now.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially when he gets in position with the help of Demon. And Demon's only 300 gold away. No, sorry, he's 600 gold away from his BKB. Sing has finished up his Orchid, but it's nowhere near getting to him. He's going to have to TP back if he wants to defend this tier 2. Are QPAD going to pull up a defense? And they can spot each other's wards here. Actually, it's the Sentry ward from EG that they put down that spots the Observer ward from QPAD. And they don't want to kill it. They're like, no, we'll leave it. We'll just hit it a bit and teach it a lesson.
Well, the lesson has been taught, and Demon is actually getting summoned? Okay, that was weird. He got summoned when he teleported to the top lane, and then Beatas pulled him back bottom. Okay, so that was a little bit strange. But regardless, Bambo, he does have his blink you mentioned previously. This is huge, because now, not only do they have fantastic initiation with the Storm, they can follow it. They can follow it straight away, and once that Ravage hits level 2, the radius is going to be even bigger. No one on the QPAD Red Pandas is even in the ballpark of getting a BKB. Waga has pretty much avoided it. So the Tidehunter choice for me was really brilliant, because there's only 2 heroes that you would think that could possibly get a BKB in that lineup, and it's Queen of Pain and it's the Dragon Knight. But the Queen of Pain, he can't really rush a BKB because he needs to be more impactful, and he needs something to shut down the Storm. So EG's draft, to me, their play so far just seems to be a little bit higher right now than the QPAD Red Pandas.
Yeah, QPAD Red Pandas definitely slipping as the game goes on. EG, once again, looking to make moves. They're the ones in the driving seat of the game, and you can see Demon heading up into the jungle. He could find Wagga and Mini, and they will get a kill. Probably no one's going to be able to help him. It's only Queen of Pain, played by Sing Sing, that has the ability to get in position to help, but they just want to run. If Wagga farms this lane and Mini shows himself, they are both most likely going to die. And Wagga just going to actually stand and look to TP away as they see the whole team from EG push the tier 2 top, or push some creeps down in the tier 2 top. And QPAD looking to exchange, looking to push some pressure on the tier 2 bottom. So they might be able to take this tier 2 bottom and defend, but Beatas already is TP'd into position and could bring down some of his teammates. So still a scary situation for QPAD. They don't want to fight unless it's under their tower, it seems, or they can guarantee that they pick off one hero and they know it's only one hero and not the whole team. So EG doing a great job moving around, roaming, and slowing down QPAD overall in terms of their farm.
Dire's top tower is
QPAD Red Pandas just haven't had control of the map for a very long time. They're just doing what you said, which is avoid any direct confrontations. And since their vision, it's okay. They got 2 rune wards basically right now, and the one mid that EG just decided to leave there because they're nice guys. They can see everything from a defensive perspective, but whenever they smoke, like we've seen them smoke a handful of times this game, they never actually see what they're going into, but mid lane could be an engagement. We actually saw Bambo blink forward. He wants to try to go for Wagamama. There's the Lifestealer inside, but very nice relocate coming out there from Mini. He will end up saving his Dragon Knight, but Mini, he's now saying his goodbyes to his team because there is no way that he's going to be making out of this one, and he will be going back to die in about right now. The tether onto the Vendetta Nyx was actually a pretty cool idea, but telekinesis, of course, stops that.
Yeah, and now they know that there was someone over to the right-hand side. But oddly enough, if you look at bottom lane, QPAD have been trying to get some pressure onto this tower forever.
Oh,
and they've
Demon
not been able to do so. And
summoned in. He gets Orchid, actually, and he's going to pop the BKB straight away. Sing actually blows everything into the BKB, not doing any damage. Now realizes Demon, a little bit magic immune at the moment. Can't really do much about it. So, unfortunate. Select ends up getting picked off, and EG, they defend their tier 2.
Yeah, nicely done. And that BKB is, you know, what we talked about. You want that BKB faster than the Orchid. You want the Orchid if you're Sing faster than the BKB. And it was just the amount of time that EG brought themselves on the map by just good play. They got the BKB and it paid off for them in that fight there. So Wagga, just farming top, does have his armlet finish with 1k gold. EG looking to put some pressure onto the tier 2 tower bottom. They do not have a Ravage available this time round. So the defense from QPAD could be pretty significant if they're able to get the opportune moment that they want. If they can get the clockwork in on a target that they want. If they can, you know, you want to get that clockwork in on Beediz or the Rubik, even though the Rubik can pick you up as it's instant cast time with telekinesis. But still, you want to be able to do something. But look at the pushing power of Jo with that Desolator. And now he's also picked up a Hyperstone. Just towers mean nothing to him. They're made of paper as far as he's concerned.
He's just so unbelievably farmed, and Demon is the perfect vessel for him, basically. It's like, I will assume myself inside of you, and then when we find somebody, they're dead. There's absolutely no way they're going to be able to live through that. So, Beta is pulling people across the map all game here, just trying to give everyone the farm that they need without having to use a TP, which is a really, really nice thing to be able to do as Keeper of the Light. And of course, we saw Fear. He managed to steal the tether, but this is still EG's game to lose. They don't really feel any pressure at all to just go, but
no.
At the same time, they can, because they have a blink on the Tidehunter, and his Ravage is going to be up in about 4 seconds. They could just be going in for Roshan right here.
Yeah,
you
I
can
would expect
see
them to do so, but they are smoked up. Could be going to Roche. And one of the scary things now, we talked about Beediz not having his mech on his Keeper of the Light. Just the way the game's gone, he's now got a completed mech that will be flying over. If the team fight was going to get any harder for QPAD, you add a mech, and Sing, his killing potential just drops off hugely with that mech now up. And it's really about the single target damage, but Wagga is not doing a lot, especially not when he's just going to get targeted down by a Storm and a Lifestealer with a Desolator and Hyperstone. So, can't see EG messing this up. This is, it looks like it could be a 2-0. And once they get this Aegis and get that onto Demon as well, I think it's the nail in the coffin here for QPAD Red Pandas. And EG looking so strong. Looks like they will be, not calling it early, but just from the situation they're in, they really should finish this one 2-0 and move on to play Mouse Sports in the upper bracket finals, which will happen today as well. So we still got another match today.
And that one everyone should be looking forward to, especially. Like, that match is the one that people were expecting, I think, more than anything else, because, of course, those two teams, Mouse and AG, both being favored. Whichever one ends up getting knocked down, everyone thinks they're going to qualify no matter what. So EG definitely showing a strong performance here in game number 2. And I got to give some credit to the QPAD Red Pandas, because as bleak as the game has been, very, very nice teleport timing right there as Jo appears in that top lane. But Mini, of course, once again, pretty sad about the whole situation. He's going to be going back. And yeah, he's not going to take Wagga with him, so this is going to be another sacrifice for the Blood Gods. Or maybe not, actually. Wagga, oh yeah, he's dead, never mind. Okay, I was going to say, he teleports pretty far away with the tether, but they had a Storm.
Yep, another kill. And Jo is actually going to go godlike off that one. Currently sitting 9-0-6. He hasn't died the previous game. I believe he was playing the Gyrocopter. He hasn't died this game. That's just amazing play. Not just from him, but it's also the team as well. Like, just making sure that if you're playing a team game and you can get your carry this far ahead every game that you can't even kill him, you're playing better Dota.
Agreed. There's, what was he, something like 20-0 now? Combined in both games?
Yeah,
so
I think so, yeah.
That's absurd, especially against any professional team. So a lot of work still to be done here in game number 2 for QPAD Red Pandas if they want to make this a game 3. The DK pick for me, I really liked it, but the laning phase, especially the fight mid, like that had to have been the turning point. When Bambo, he had that Ravage, he managed to clean up everyone. That's kind of where you felt, okay, well, the QPAD Red Pandas did reasonably well during the first 5 to 10 minutes, but now that fight just kind of put everything sour for them. And for the last 15 minutes or so, they really haven't been able to do a whole lot of anything. And as you said, a lot of it's due to Jo. He's got his AC finished, by the way. So if he didn't have enough minus armor already, he's going to be adding 5 more to it.
Yeah, it's a very scary situation for the QPAD team, and you can see what they're doing. They know they can't take a smoke, try and find a pick, and get out alive, because they won't get out alive. It doesn't matter who you start your initiation on. Even if it's Bambo, if it's Demon, or if it's Jo, and these are the only targets that you're really going to find if they're kind of walking around alone, which probably they won't be anyway, maybe just Demon. But they're looking to try and finish up their BKBs. Now, Sing's decently close. He saved enough gold just to make sure he has his buyback on him. If we go and check the DK Wagger, you can also see he's reasonably close as well. So, but are they going to get it? Are they going to put it to use? Because once Jo walks up to the base with an AC and a Desolator, this tower, again, it's not going to matter. And Select's going to try and put out some cogs just to slow down the push, keep his creep wave up there as well. But they're ready to go, EG. They want to take advantage of their lead now because they know they have a huge lead here.
I'll see if QPAD Red Pandas can actually put up a defense. And Sing still sitting in the back, looking for some opportunity. The problem really lies in the BKB on Demon and Jo with the Rage. His burst damage is negated on the 2 most important heroes of EG. Yeah, Bambo's going to get his Ravage off probably no matter what. But yeah, the tier 3 goes down. Jo quite low on health. Select actually isolates 2 heroes on the side of EG, but the Infest coming out from Jo. They turn around right onto Sing, and they pick him off immediately. Bambo comes in with the Ravage, hits almost everyone, except for Mini on the side of the QPAD Red Pandas. Beatus solo on life. Mini desperately trying to get a kill. He will be able to earn Beatus, who will eventually drop to the damage, and then goes back to his relocate position. So buybacks on the side of QPAD. They want to try to catch Demon. The BKB's down. Bambo blinks in very aggressively, trying to save his teammates. Another nice cog, actually, by Select. Traps Bambo in all by himself. The rest of the team can't possibly get to him. Now they want to try to go in after the cogs fade. Jo, he wants blood. He finds Jerax. 2 hits beyond godlike. He's going to toggle the armlet. Sing walks into basically death. And Mini trying to escape. Is he going to be able to get away? No mana on Demon or Bambo. They simply can't chase. Another cog coming out from Select, and a tether from Mini. Another buyback, this time going to be by Wagga. Can they even defend the melee racks? Mini doing quite a bit of harassment with that Spirit, and of course the Urn charges as well. A Rocket's going to be there, but Demon, of course, does have that Aegis. So the middle set of racks fall. A lot of buybacks being forced out of the side of QPAD, and they can't manage to stop EG.
Yeah, and Sing, you saw it. He was the #1 target. They tried to lock him down. They did do so successfully. Just a huge amount of damage coming in from Jo when Storm Spirit's able to shut him down. And just really nicely done by EG. And you also saw cogs as well being stole by Fear. He put that to use.
And Bambo actually going to get picked off here.
Somebody.
Yeah, they actually managed to get a pick off with the relocate, and Jerax was there as well. Wagga, actually the recipient of that kill, somebody who desperately needs the money too, because he is very close to his BKB. And we saw during the last fight how little he could do without it.
Yeah. Just Sing and Wagga, that hurt him so much.
Yeah.
Even with the kill onto Bambo when they escaped, it just set back their BKBs. And EG knew it. They knew they were waiting for some big items to be able to put up a fight in these team fights. So they forced the issue. Sorry, AC. They forced the issue and went to the base, and they got exactly what they wanted out of it. They couldn't have hoped for a better situation. If you look at the net worths now, you can see that 16k for the Lifestealer, almost 12k for the Storm Spirit. These 2 heroes having an impact on the map just so much more than Sing and Wagamama on the Queen of Pain and also the DK. So everything's going right for EG.
We saw how fast Sing died there too. He died in a vortex. Like, Vortex, 3 swings dead. So just goes to show how unbelievably farmed Jo is, and continues to be. And he's had a gem for quite a while too. Looks like his next choice is going to be a heart. And he was so low on health during that fight, he was basically living through his armlet alone at one point, and he still wasn't even focused down. So QPAD, they lose their racks. Another invisibility, actually, this time. Not going to be a smoke by Demon. And they're going to relocate on bottom. They're going to find Betas. But it's a trap as a 3-man Ravage comes in from Bambo. Jerax actually gets hit as well. Now Betas on the run. He's trying to get away from this. The Dragon's Breath will be there. And Wagamama manages to get the kill. Maybe a bit of an overextension here by EG. They bait it out. But no, Mini ends up taking a couple of heroes back. Sing, though, to clean it up. But he's going to pay with his life because Jo comes out of the storm. And it's a buyback out of Bambo, actually, not out of one of the members from the QPAD Red Pandas. So the Ravage was used. They managed to kill Betas, and they managed to kill Bambo, but they lost Sing.
They can siege the tower. That's really what they consider they can do after the fight. It's without Sing with some of his high burst damage available, they can siege this tower. So just bringing up Bambo is a pretty decent option. If they're going to try, it will be up to them, of course. Still, QPAD are ready for this. It seems like they're in position. They've got cogs available. It's only level 1 cogs as well, so it's not much mana and health drain at all. It's just 80 as opposed to when it's maxed out, which is 200. EG, you know, they decide, well, actually, no, we can take a little bit more time here. You guys are stuck in your base. We'll pick up some farm. JO's gone straight for the Ancients. And, well, actually, they checked in on Roshan. It's not up yet, so maybe EG are a bit off on their timing. But this will be the second Roshan, correct?
Yeah, I think so. It's only 33 minutes in, so yeah, I think it's the second one. But all in all, it's been EG from pretty much the 10-minute mark onward. They continue to get farther and farther ahead. Once Jo finishes the heart, he can not only kill the tier 3, but he can tank it forever, assuming QPAD Red Pandas don't do any harassment to him. So Jerax, he's going to pop his Vendetta. He's trying to find somebody. I'm not sure if it's going to be too successful. And he needs to be careful because there is a gem, actually, on Jo, who is currently residing in Demon.
Has his Scythe of Vice now.
Yeah, this is, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but EG would be hard-pressed to lose at this stage.
Yeah, and Wagger is level 15, hasn't hit level 16 yet, but he has finished up his BKB and also retaining 1.2k gold. But Sing, just getting ganked.
Select.
Oh, yeah. In base, wow.
Select getting caught out. It's another Beyond Godlike there for Jo, who has yet to die. So I think it's now 23-0 between both games. So Bruno's going to have to give us some stats on him later because he has played pretty damn well in this best of 3. And this is the feeling of being unstoppable right now for EG. You just have so much more farm. You have so much map control. You've taken all the Editor Towers away from the QPAD Red Pandas. You've taken the mid-racks. You're basically just pushing them right now to make sure their lanes are right by their base for when you want to do Roshan, which is going to be very soon.
Yeah, I wonder if QPAD will be able to make anything happen at Roshan. I feel that EG know that they could probably just turn up and take Roshan nice and easy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not going to get easier for QPAD. Even with your tier 3 tower helping you out in the fight, you don't have a Glyph of Fortification.